An investigation into anonymous tips resulted in an immigration bust this morning at a construction site on Beretania and Bishop Street. Olena Rubin reports on what's being called an unprecedented event, cracking down on illegal immigrant activity. Olena?
Joe, enforcement officials surrounded the building with guns drawn as part of a sting to capture illegal immigrants working as laborers on a multi-million-dollar development.
Around 9 o'clock Wednesday morning, laborers and carpenters scheduled to work at the Pinnacle Honolulu construction site were greeted with an alarming surprise.
Buildings surrounded, guys with their badge, guns, like, whoa, what's happening?
Department of Homeland Security officials from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Unit screened workers at the Beretania and Bishop Street Luxury Condo.
They were coming down from the parking level. They was on the third level, and I told them, guys, they're not going to let anybody out. If you go out, you got to show your ID to prove you're a U.S. citizen.
Those who could not prove citizenship started to run.
And one of them just went run and jumped right over the wall. On the bottom got the dumpster. He jumped right inside out of the rubbish, and he just went running, man.
This isn't the first time this building or its contractor, Ledcor, has made headlines.
Well, this contractor has had a series of violations that they've been cited for in the past on safety.
In February, a piece of rebar fell 17 stories onto a car, injuring 2 women. The Department of Labor and Industrial Relations cited Ledcor for 5 serious violations at that job site and fined the company more than $13,000. In September, at another Ledcor construction site in Mililani, a steel frame collapsed, nearly injuring 6 workers.
Reportedly, workers here are getting paid in cash, that they may be unlicensed in certain aspects of the job.
Carpenters Union officials are concerned about the non-unionized laborers employed by Ledcor.
We're worried about their safety, their wages. In Hawaii, it's hard to earn a living.
A total of 7 laborers were detained on site by federal agents. Officials say all 7 are not authorized to work in the U.S.
The illegal immigrants will be processed for deportation. The contractor could face federal prosecution, which may lead to severe fines and jail time. Olena Rubin, KHON 2 News.
We began the newscast by telling you that federal investigators raided a downtown luxury high-rise looking for construction workers believed to be in this country illegally. And KITV's Catherine Cruz has more about that.
Well, it's not very often that you hear of an enforcement action like this. It certainly raises some eyebrows. The project, which is selling some million-dollar units, is right on downtown Bishop Street.
The Pinnacle sits at the corner of Bishop and Beretania Street. This morning, agents with the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency went floor to floor looking for workers believed to be in this country illegally.
We've been informed that there was a raid conducted this morning by the Immigration Customs Enforcement officials and that arrests have been made regarding unlicensed illegal immigrant labor on the job site. That's what we've been told.
Chalk says it's pretty rare that this kind of thing happens in Hawaii.
To me, it's a big red flag that goes up in my mind when the federal government is going door to door and systematically raiding a construction job site.
Chalk says he was told that the workers were of Hispanic and Chinese descent.
Customs agents are working with the U.S. Attorney's Office on the case. They would divulge little about the probe, saying only they have executed several search warrants and that the investigation is still ongoing. Local labor is just glad for the crackdown.
Overall, for the local economy and for local people, when we've worked so hard to create the kind of construction jobs that we enjoy today, the last thing we want to see is those jobs, high-paying jobs, go to unlicensed illegal workers.
The State Labor Department says the contractor, Ledcor, was recently fined $9,000. The company had several safety violations that regulators investigated. One was at the Pinnacle job site involving rebar falling on a car on Beretania Street, and a second problem was at a Waipahu job site.
Our calls to the contractor on the job weren't returned, and William Bobo, a spokesman for the developer of the Pinnacle, told KITV the company doesn't condone the use of illegal workers and is looking to resolve the situation. Reporting live, Catherine Cruz, KITV 4 Island Television News.
Armed federal agents raided a downtown construction site this morning and arrested 19 men accused of illegally working on the luxury high-rise. KGMB 9's Lisa Kubota joins us from the newsroom with the story. Lisa?
Kim, officers from Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrived with search warrants. Officials say the workers were in the U.S. illegally or did not have permission to work here. The agents surrounded the Pinnacle building at the corner of Beretania and Bishop Streets. They went from floor to floor checking IDs. The arrests concern a local joint labor management group which represents unionized carpenters and contractors. The Pacific Resource Partnership says this kind of raid is rare, but it's possible there are other illegal workers in Hawaii's construction industry.
This has probably been a long time in the coming and probably the tip of the iceberg in terms of some of the unfair labor practices that may be happening in the state right now.
Officials from contractor Ledcor say the men arrested were not from their company, but instead workers hired under a separate mainland contractor. California developer Michael Hara could not be reached for comment. The men are in federal custody. The U.S. Attorney's Office is also working on this case. Officials are releasing few details tonight since the investigation is still going on. Lisa Kubota, KGMB 9 News.
Federal authorities today arrested several illegal immigrants after a raid at a downtown Honolulu job site. The illegal workers were taken into custody at the Pinnacle construction site located at the corner of Bishop and Beretania Streets. A spokesman for the Pacific Resource Partnership, which brings together contractors and the Carpenters Union, says they were appalled by the arrests.
If this can happen in downtown on Bishop Street, where else is this happening across the state right now? And how many other workers' rights are being violated and exploited at the expense of making a quick buck?
The same job site had been cited earlier this year for unsafe work conditions, and that was after a 15-foot piece of rebar fell from high atop the building, piercing the roof of a car.